Admiral Jessica Thompson stood at the command center of the U.S. Hellfire, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing deep space readings. The massive battleship, despite its fearsome capabilities, currently displayed all the signatures of a primitive nuclear-powered vessel. It was a carefully crafted deception, one that had served humanity well in their silent exploration of the galaxy. Movement detected in Sector 7. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Mike Roberts reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. Energy signatures match Imperial scout vessels, 3 of them, approaching on an intercept course. He paused, frowning at his readings. They're being rather obvious about it. Thompson allowed herself a small smile. The Imperials were known for their arrogance, a trait that had served humanity's intelligence gathering for the past decade. Time to contact. 15 minutes at current velocity, Roberts responded. They're not even trying to mask their approach. Standard Imperial formation. They're treating this like a routine inspection. Chief Tactical Officer Sarah Foster leaned forward at her station, her cybernetic eye whirring as it processed the incoming data. Admiral, I'm detecting capital ship signatures at the edge of our sensor range. A lot of them. This isn't just a patrol. It's a fleet. Interesting, Thompson mused, pulling up the tactical overlay. The Imperial ships were arranging themselves in a classic encirclement pattern, clearly visible to even most basic sensors. They want us to see them coming. Status of our systems. All masking protocols are functioning perfectly, Engineering Chief Emily Parker reported from her station. To their sensors, we look like we're running on good old-fashioned nuclear fusion. Heat signatures, radiation levels, all matching 20th century technology. They're probably laughing at us right now. The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but Thompson could sense their anticipation. The Hellfire was humanity's most advanced warship, disguised as their most primitive. Every bolt, every panel, every system was a lie wrapped in deception, covered in misdirection. Message incoming, Communications Officer James Martinez announced. Text only, broadcasting on all frequencies. They're not even trying to encode it. He projected the message onto the main screen. Unidentified vessel. You have entered Imperial space. Prepare for inspection and submission to Imperial authority. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. How polite of them, Thompson remarked dryly. Mr. Martins, prepare our response package. Standard Protocol 7. Ready to transmit our primitive response. Admiral. Complete with appropriate static and signal degradation. The bridge crew watched as the Imperial fleet drew closer. Their sensors picked up every detail of the approaching ships, their shield frequencies, weapon systems, crew complement, all while appearing blind and defenseless to Imperial scans. They're launching fighters, Foster reported. Standard intimidation pattern. They're not even charging weapons. Thompson nodded, studying the tactical display. The Imperial ships were arranging themselves in a textbook superior force formation, designed to overwhelm and intimidate a technologically inferior opponent. It would have been terrifying if the Hellfire was actually what it appeared to be. All hands, this is the Admiral, Thompson announced shipwide. You all know the drill. Let them make the first move. Remember your training. No matter what happens next, maintain protocol until my mark. The crew acknowledged, each person checking their systems one final time. Years of training, preparation, and patience had led to this moment. Humanity had watched, learned, and prepared, always appearing primitive and harmless to the galaxy at large. Imperial flagship is moving into position, Roberts reported. They're charging weapons, low power. Looks like they're planning a warning shot. Perfect, Thompson smiled. Begin recording. The folks back home will want to see this. Ms. Parker, prepare for full system revelation on my mark. Mr. Foster, weapon systems in shadow mode. Mr. Martinez, get ready to show them what a real first contact package looks like. The bridge crew watched as the Imperial fleet completed their formation. Dozens of capital ships, hundreds of support vessels, all arranged to demonstrate overwhelming force against what they perceived as a primitive singular vessel. "Admiral," Roberts said quietly, "there's something you should see." He projected a new sensor reading. "These energy signatures, they're broadcasting tactical data. This isn't just a show of force. They're recording this for training purposes." Thompson's smile widened slightly. "Even better. They want to make an example of us." She straightened her uniform. "Well, let's make sure we give their academy students something worth studying." The Imperial warning shot was only moments away, and the U.S. Hellfire waited patiently, a wolf in sheep's clothing, ready to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating humanity. The Imperial warning shot blazed across the Hellfire's bow, a brilliant display of plasma energy designed to demonstrate technological superiority. On the Imperial flagship's bridge, Admiral Vatak leaned back in his command chair, mandibles clicking in amusement. "Look at their primitive hull construction," he chuckled to his bridge crew. "Metal alloys and nuclear propulsion. They're barely out of their gravity well." His tactical officer projected an analysis of the human vessel. "No energy shields, minimal point defense capability. This will be an excellent lesson for the Academy archives." Aboard the Hellfire, Admiral Thompson watched the Imperial fleet's positioning with practiced patience. Status of their targeting systems. "All Imperial weapons are locked on non-critical areas," Lieutenant Commander Roberts reported. "They're toying with us. Their targeting algorithms are rudimentary at best." Chief Engineer Parker's hands flew across her console, making final adjustments. "Quantum Core is purring like a kitten, Admiral. Ready to shed this sheep's clothing on your command." "Let's give them one last chance," Thompson decided. "Mr. Martinez, send our desperate plea for mercy. Make sure to include plenty of static and translation errors." The message went out, deliberately garbled and weak. "Imperial vessels, we are a peaceful exploration ship. Please accept our immediate surrender. We have families aboard." Vatak's laughter echoed across the Imperial bridge. "How primitive. They don't even have proper translation matrices." He gestured dismissively. "Show them proper Imperial protocol. Target their propulsion systems, low yield only. We wouldn't want to damage our new subjects too severely." The Imperial fleet's second volley was precisely calculated to disable the seemingly primitive human vessel. Energy beams lanced out, striking the Hellfire's hull directly. That's when everything changed. "Hit confirmed," Parker announced calmly. "Energy absorption systems at optimal efficiency. Permission to show them what we've been hiding." Thompson nodded. "Initiate metamorphosis sequence. Let's give them a show they'll never forget." The Hellfire went dark for exactly 3.2 seconds. To Imperial sensors, it simply vanished. When it reappeared, the transformation began. The primitive metal hull began to shift, plates realigning and reforming. Hidden weapon ports emerged from seamless surfaces. The dull metal surface rippled, revealing layers of quantum-locked armor beneath. Point defense turrets rose from concealed housings, their targeting systems already acquiring Imperial fighters. On the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. "Impossible," Vatak's tactical officer screamed. "Their energy readings are off the scale. This can't be right. They're using technology we've never seen before." "Full scan," Vatak ordered, his previous amusement gone. "I want to know what we're dealing with." "Scans are being reflected back at us," his science officer reported, voice trembling. "Their hull is absorbing our sensor beams and learning from them. Admiral, I don't think that's even a warship. It's something else entirely." Aboard the Hellfire, Thompson allowed herself a moment to appreciate the chaos they'd caused. "Status report. All systems operating at peak efficiency," Parker reported proudly. "Quantum core stable. Armor transformation complete. We're showing them our Sunday best now, Admiral." "Imperial fleet is attempting to reposition," Roberts added. "Their formation is breaking down. I'm detecting multiple emergency transmissions to their high command." "Mr. Martins, prepare our actual first contact package," Thompson ordered. "Let's show them how humanity really communicates." The Hellfire's communication systems came fully online, broadcasting in perfect Imperial standard across all frequencies. "Imperial Fleet, this is Admiral Jessica Thompson of the United Solar Federation. You have violated sovereign human space and demonstrated hostile intent. Your previous actions have been recorded and analyzed. You have 2 minutes to stand down and prepare for real diplomatic discussion." On the Imperial flagship, Vatak stared in horror as his tactical display updated. The single human vessel now showed weapon systems more advanced than anything in the Imperial arsenal. Their primitive nuclear signature was gone, replaced by energy readings that shouldn't have been possible. "How?" he whispered. "They were nothing. We saw them. They were primitive." "Admiral," his tactical officer interrupted, voice shaking. "They're deploying something from their hull. Hundreds of small objects." Thompson smiled as the Hellfire's drone swarms emerged, their quantum-linked AI systems already predicting and countering Imperial defensive patterns. Time to show them why humanity has survived every attempt at conquest for the past 1,000 years. The real first contact was about to begin, and the Imperial fleet was about to learn why appearing primitive had been humanity's greatest strategic decision. The Hellfire's metamorphosis completed with a final series of clicks and whirs as the last weapon ports locked into position. The once seemingly primitive vessel now bristled with technology that defied Imperial understanding. Drone swarms fully deployed, Lieutenant Rachel Martinez reported, her fingers dancing across the neural interface. Combat units are maintaining perfect quantum synchronization. The Imperials are trying to jam them, but their signals are primitive compared to ours. Admiral Thompson watched as the Imperial fleet scrambled to adapt to their new reality. Time for a proper demonstration. "Ms. Parker, let's show them what human engineering can do." The chief engineer grinned. "With pleasure, Admiral." Activating gravitational manipulation systems, the space around the Hellfire began to distort. Imperial sensors, designed to detect conventional propulsion and weapons, went haywire as localized gravity fields bent and twisted reality itself. Several Imperial fighters, caught in the effect, spun helplessly as their navigation systems failed. "Imperial flagship is attempting to coordinate their response," Roberts announced. "They're cycling through encryption protocols, trying to find one we can't crack. Should we let them think they've succeeded? Give them hope for exactly 30 seconds. Thompson ordered. Then show them why humanity never needed to rely on standard encryption. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Vatak was experiencing something he'd never felt before. Fear. "Status of the human vessel?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," his science officer replied, mandibles clicking nervously. "Their hull composition keeps changing. Every scan we perform reveals new layers of technology. It's like the ship is evolving in response to our attempts to analyze it. Impossible." Vatak slammed his command chair. "No species can have this level of advancement. They were primitive. We saw their nuclear drives." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "the human drones. They're forming patterns we've never seen before. Our predictive algorithms can't." The officer's words cut off as the Hellfire demonstrated its point defense capabilities. Streams of quantum-accelerated particles created beautiful, deadly lattices in space. Imperial fighters that ventured too close simply ceased to exist, their atoms scattered across the void. "Dr. Anderson," Thompson called to the Hellfire's chief scientist, "how are they enjoying our particle physics lesson?" Anderson's voice carried a note of professional satisfaction. "Their sensors are recording everything, Admiral. Future Imperial scientists will spend decades trying to understand what they're seeing. Shall we demonstrate the quantum entanglement drive?" "Proceed." The Hellfire vanished, not through any cloaking device or stealth system, but by temporarily shifting itself through multiple quantum states simultaneously. To Imperial sensors, it appeared in 12 different locations at once, each version seemingly real and solid. Vatak's bridge crew watched in horror as their targeting systems attempted to lock onto all 12 manifestations of the human vessel. Impossible, the science officer whispered. They're manipulating quantum mechanics on a macroscopic scale. The energy requirements alone should be. The Hellfire reappeared directly in front of the Imperial flagship, close enough for Vatak to see the details of its transformed hull through the bridge viewport. The once smooth surface now rippled with patterns that hurt his eyes to look at, suggesting geometries that shouldn't exist in normal space. Admiral Thompson to Imperial flagship, Martinez broadcast, letting them see the human bridge crew for the first time. Your scanning attempts are inefficient. Would you like us to transmit proper technological specifications, or would you prefer another demonstration? Thompson stood from her command chair, her image projected onto every Imperial ship's bridge. You assumed we were primitive because we chose to appear so. Consider this. What else might humanity be hiding? The Imperial fleet's formation had completely broken down. Several ships were actively retreating, their captains more concerned with survival than protocol. Multiple ships are powering up their faster-than-light drives, Roberts reported. Should we let them escape, Admiral? Thompson nodded. Let them run. But first, she turned to Parker. Give them a farewell gift. Something to remember us by. The chief engineer activated the Hellfire's quantum wake generators. The fabric of space-time around the human vessel began to fold and ripple, creating patterns of light that would haunt Imperial dreams for generations. Final analysis of their technology completed, Anderson reported. As we suspected, they're several centuries behind us. Their latest encryption protocols match our historical records from 2157. Thompson allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had chosen to hide its true capabilities for so long. Sometimes, the best way to avoid a war was to make sure your potential enemies understood exactly why they shouldn't start one. With the Imperial fleet in disarray, Admiral Thompson prepared for the next phase of their demonstration. The Hellfire's main cannon, the Starbreaker, emerged from its quantum-locked housing, its crystalline structure pulsing with contained energy. Target their lead support vessel, Thompson ordered. Minimal power. Let's show them why we still use kinetic weapons in the age of energy beams. Weapons Officer Kyle Harrison's hands moved across his console with practiced precision. Starbreaker primed, Admiral. Mass driver systems online. Target locked. The Imperial fleet watched in confused fascination as what appeared to be a simple railgun extended from the Hellfire's bow. Their sensors detected no energy buildup, no exotic particles, just a simple magnetic acceleration track. They're shifting their shields to deflect kinetic impacts, Roberts reported, suppressing a smile. Standard Imperial doctrine. They think we're reverting to primitive weapons out of desperation. Admiral Vatak is broadcasting again, Martinez announced. He's demanding our immediate surrender, citing our regression to obsolete weaponry as proof of our technological limitations. Thompson nodded. Send them the mathematical formula for what's about to happen. Let's see if their scientists are quick enough to understand. The formula transmitted to the Imperial fleet was elegant in its simplicity, mass times acceleration, with a quantum twist that their physicists would spend years trying to comprehend. Starbreaker firing in 3, 2, 1, Harrison announced. The Hellfire's main cannon fired. There was no dramatic light show, no spectacular energy discharge. A single projectile, smaller than a human fist, accelerated to near-light speed within a quantum-stabilized corridor. The effect was devastating. The Imperial support vessel's shields, designed to deflect energy weapons and normal kinetic impacts, might as well have been tissue paper. The projectile passed through them without slowing, its mass multiplied by quantum effects to impossible levels. It struck the vessel's bow and continued through, leaving a perfectly circular hole through the entire ship. Secondary systems failed as the quantum wake following the projectile disrupted energy fields throughout the vessel. Impact successful, Harrison reported calmly. Target vessel disabled. No catastrophic damage, as requested. On the Imperial flagship, Vatak stared in disbelief at the damage report. How? Their weapon. It ignored our shields completely. Multiple Imperial vessels are changing formation, Roberts announced. They're adopting a defensive posture we haven't seen before. Looks like they're preparing for mass deployment of fighter screens. Thompson's expression hardened slightly. They still think numbers will save them. Ms. Parker, activate the point defense grid. Full coverage, low yield. Let's not waste energy. The Hellfire's surface shimmed as thousands of micro-turrets emerged. Each one was capable of tracking and engaging multiple targets simultaneously, guided by quantum-linked targeting systems that made traditional combat computers look like ancient calculators. Imperial fighters launching, Foster reported. 700 and counting. They're attempting to overwhelm our defenses through sheer numbers. Standard response protocol, Thompson ordered. Let them get close enough to see what happens. The space around the Hellfire erupted in a dance of light and precision. Each fighter that entered the defense grid's range encountered something impossible. Perfect point defense. No matter how they maneuvered, each shot from the Hellfire struck exactly where it needed to, with exactly the force required. Enemy fighters are attempting to transmit tactical data back to their fleet, Martins reported. They're learning that our targeting isn't based on prediction algorithms. Let them learn, Thompson replied. Each lesson costs them more ships. The Imperial fleet watched in horror as their fighter screen evaporated, not through spectacular explosions or overwhelming force, but through precise, calculated shots that disabled each vessel with surgical accuracy. Admiral, Anderson called from his station. Their flagship is preparing to fire their main battery. Energy readings suggest they're overcharging their weapons. Thompson straightened in her chair. Well, if they insist on escalating. She turned to Harrison. Prepare a full broadside. Show them why humans never abandoned the concept of danger close. The Hellfire's flanks opened, revealing rows of weapon ports that defied Imperial classification. Some seemed to bend light around them. Others appeared to exist in multiple places simultaneously. Remember, Thompson addressed her crew. We're not here to start a war. We're here to prevent one. Make every shot count, but keep casualties to a minimum. The galaxy needs to understand why humanity chose to hide its strength, not fear us for it. The real demonstration was about to begin, and the Imperial fleet was about to learn the true meaning of human military doctrine. The Hellfire's systems hummed with contained power as Thompson assessed the tactical display. The Imperial flagship's energy buildup had reached critical levels. They were committing to a full assault. Combat Intelligence System online, Lieutenant Commander Roberts announced. Predictive Matrix is analyzing Imperial battle patterns. They're deploying in a formation we haven't seen before. Show me, Thompson ordered, and the tactical display shifted to highlight the Imperial fleet's movements. Their remaining ships had arranged themselves in a spherical formation, concentrating their shield energy toward a central point. Fascinating, Chief Scientist Anderson commented from his station. They're attempting to create a resonance cascade with their combined shield generators. Rather innovative, actually. Time to contact, Thompson asked. Energy discharge from Imperial fleet in 30 seconds, Harrison reported from weapons control. They're channeling power from their entire battle group into a single shot. Thompson nodded appreciatively. A desperate gambit, but creative. Ms. Parker, how would our standard shields handle that level of energy? They wouldn't, Parker replied with a grin. Good thing we don't use standard shields. Quantum absorption fields are ready, Admiral. We can turn their own energy against them. The Imperial fleet's combined attack launched, a massive beam of concentrated plasma and exotic particles that would have vaporized a small moon. The Hellfire made no attempt to evade. Impact in 5 seconds, Foster announced. All hands, brace for energy absorption. The beam struck the Hellfire's quantum fields, For a moment, the human vessel seemed to glow with impossible brightness as it absorbed and channeled the enormous energy discharge. Then, something happened that made the Imperial observers question their sanity. The Hellfire began to drink the energy. Energy absorption at 90% efficiency, Parker reported proudly. Converting excess power to our weapon systems, we can now fire the Starbreaker at full capacity without tapping our main reactor. On the Imperial flagship, Votak watched in horror as his fleet's most powerful attack was simply consumed. Impossible, his science officer whispered. They're not just blocking the energy, they're processing it, converting it. But the thermal dynamics alone should. Admiral, Martin is called from communications. I'm picking up transmissions from the Imperial fleet. Multiple captains are requesting permission to retreat. Some aren't waiting for permission. Thompson stood from her command chair. Time to end this demonstration. Mr. Harrison, deploy the kinetic strike platforms. Low yield. Warning shots only. The Hellfire's hull berthed dozens of autonomous weapon platforms, each carrying a scaled-down version of the Starbreaker technology. They moved with impossible grace, ignoring conventional physics as they took up position around the Imperial fleet. Platforms deployed, Harrison confirmed. Targeting solutions locked. They won't know what hit them. Send the message, Thompson ordered. Martinez broadcast on all frequencies. Imperial Fleet Command, you have witnessed a fraction of humanity's true military capability. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your sensors cannot track our movements. Your tactics cannot counter our technology. Withdraw now, or the next demonstration will not be a warning. The kinetic platforms fired simultaneously. Dozens of hypersonic projectiles streaked through space, each guided by quantum-linked targeting systems. They struck with surgical precision, disabling weapon systems and engines without causing catastrophic damage. Multiple Imperial vessels going dark, Roberts reported. Their power cores are shutting down to prevent overload. Escape pods launching from 7 ships. Fascinating response pattern, Anderson noted, studying his readings. Their crews are exhibiting signs of what humans once called shell shock. They simply cannot process what they're witnessing. Thompson watched as the mighty Imperial fleet, pride of their civilization, began to break apart under the precision strikes of human engineering. Send the final package, she ordered Martinez. Let's make sure they understand exactly what happened here today. The data burst that hit the Imperial flagship contained a complete analysis of their tactical mistakes, detailed breakdowns of their technological limitations, and a comprehensive list of the ways humanity could have destroyed their entire fleet at any moment during the battle. Imperial flagship is powering down weapons, Foster announced. They're transmitting surrender protocols on all frequencies. Thompson nodded. Secure all weapons. Power down the kinetic platforms. She turned to her crew. Well done, everyone. The galaxy just learned why Earth was left alone for so long. Let's make sure they remember this lesson. The battle was over, but its impact would echo through Imperial space for generations to come. Humanity's mask of primitiveness had been stripped away, revealing something far more terrifying. A civilization that had chosen to hide its power until absolutely necessary. The Imperial Senate chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage played on the massive holographic display. Senators from 100 worlds watched in stunned silence as the U.S. Hellfire transformed from a primitive vessel into something their best scientists couldn't explain. Impossible, Senator Krulvac whispered, his scales pale with fear. They've been hiding among us all this time. High Admiral Zarkak stepped forward, his tentacles writhing with agitation. The data packets retreat from our surviving ships confirm it. Every human vessel we've encountered in the past decade was masquerading as primitive. They were studying us, learning our weaknesses. On the main display, Security Chief Nicole Foster's report played, transmitted directly to the Imperial Senate by the Hellfire. Her voice was calm, professional, and terrifying in its implications. For the past 15 years, humanity has maintained a network of observation posts throughout what you call Imperial space. We've watched your technological development, analyzed your military doctrine, and prepared accordingly. Today's demonstration was merely a courtesy call. The Senate chamber fell silent as Dr. Ryan Cooper's technical analysis began. Quantum mechanics theorems and advanced physics equations scrolled across the screen, making even the Empire's best scientists sink into their seats with growing dread. As you can now see, Cooper's voice explained, human technology diverged from the standard galactic development path approximately 300 years ago. What you perceived as primitive nuclear drives were actually contained quantum singularities, disguised to appear less advanced. High Admiral, one of the younger senators called out, "How did we miss this? Our survey ships have visited their system multiple times." Zarkex's facial tendrils drooped in embarrassment. They wanted us to see exactly what they showed us. Every scan, every reading, every observation was carefully crafted. They turned our own arrogance against us. The footage continued, showing the Hellfire's point defense grid in action. Imperial military analysts in the chamber watched with professional horror as their finest fighter pilots were systematically disabled by weapons that shouldn't exist. Their quantum manipulation technology alone is centuries ahead of ours, the Empire's chief scientist admitted. The ability to shift matter between quantum states at will, to convert energy with perfect efficiency. They're not just more advanced. They're operating on principles we barely understand. Security Chief Foster's final message played. The United Solar Federation has allowed the Imperial expansion to continue unchecked because you posed no significant threat. Today's demonstration was prompted by your recent military buildup along what you believe to be unprotected human space. Consider this a formal notification that expansion stops now. The Senate chamber erupted again, dozens of species arguing in their native tongues. The Empire, which had stood unopposed for centuries, had just discovered it was the equivalent of a child playing with toys compared to human military capability. "There's more," Zarkex announced, silencing the chamber. "Our deep space listening posts have detected similar technology signatures from other regions of space previously thought to be primitive or uninhabited. We believe humanity has been protecting these developing civilizations from our interference." The implications hit the Senate like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just hidden its own power, it had been secretly acting as a guardian for other emerging species, preserving their natural development from Imperial interference. Dr. Cooper's final analysis appeared on screen. Your civilization's development path focused on energy weapons and shield technology. Humanity chose a different path. We mastered quantum mechanics, gravity manipulation, and the fundamental forces of reality itself. Your energy shields are impressive, but ultimately useless against weapons that can alter the basic properties of matter. The Senate Strategic Analysis Committee presented their findings. Every human ship encountered in the past decade had been a disguised warship. Every trade delegation had been staffed by military observers. Every seemingly primitive human outpost had been a high-tech observation post. "We've been living in their shadow all this time," Zarkex concluded. "Every victory, every conquest, every advancement we celebrated. They were watching, analyzing, and deciding whether to let us continue." As the implications sank in, the Imperial Senate faced a harsh new reality. They weren't the dominant force in the galaxy. They never had been. Humanity had simply allowed them to think they were, while quietly ensuring they never became a true threat to galactic peace. The age of Imperial expansion was over. The era of human oversight had begun. Commander Chris Bennett stood before the massive windows of Diplomatic Station Alpha, watching the Imperial diplomatic fleet approach. Behind him, Admiral Thompson studied the tactical display, showing the positions of hidden human vessels throughout the system. "They followed our approach vectors exactly," Bennett noted, scrolling through the arrival data. "Looks like the lesson about our targeting capabilities made quite an impression." "Fear is a powerful teacher," Thompson replied, "but it's not what we're after." How's their diplomatic team looking? Bennett pulled up the personnel files that human intelligence had compiled. They're sending their best. Chief Negotiator Valken, known for his moderate views on expansion. 2 top scientists who've been secretly arguing against military escalation. And he smiled slightly. Admiral Vatak himself. Interesting choice, Thompson mused. Having him lead the diplomatic mission after his military failure. The Empire is more adaptable than we thought. The station's quantum sensors tracked the Imperial ship's every movement. The once proud vessels now moved with exaggerated caution, their weapon systems conspicuously powered down, their shields operating at minimal levels, a show of submission that would have been unthinkable a week ago. Latest intelligence from deep cover operatives. Lieutenant Sarah Maxwell reported from her station. The Empire has halted all military shipbuilding. Research facilities are being converted from weapons development to civilian applications. They're taking our warning seriously. And the other species under their influence? Thompson asked. Maxwell brought up a galactic map showing dozens of systems highlighted in different colors. Mass withdrawals from occupied territories. The Empire is pulling back to its core worlds. Several previously suppressed civilizations are already reaching out through back channels, requesting human protection. The Imperial flagship docked with perfect precision, following the approach procedures humanity had transmitted. No deviation, no hesitation. The mighty Empire had learned the value of following instructions. Dr. Reynolds, Thompson called the station's chief scientist. How are they handling the technical package we sent? Reynolds looked up from his analysis station, barely containing his amusement. Their scientists are struggling. We showed them just enough to prove our technological superiority without revealing anything crucial. Their best minds are still trying to understand how our quantum drives work. The diplomatic party emerged from their vessel exactly on schedule. Valken led the group, his traditional Imperial robes modified to appear less militaristic. Vatak followed, his posture a careful balance between military bearing and diplomatic humility. Their heart rates are elevated, Maxwell noted, studying the biometric readings. They're terrified, but hiding it well. Wouldn't you be? Bennett asked. Their entire worldview was just shattered. Everything they thought they knew about their place in the galaxy, about technological progression, about military superiority, all proven wrong in a single engagement. Thompson straightened her uniform. That's exactly why this meeting is so important. We need to shift their fear to understanding. Humanity didn't hide its capabilities out of malice. We did it to prevent exactly the kind of conflict they were heading toward. The diplomatic party approached the conference room, escorted by station security. Through the transparent walls, they could see the room's centerpiece, a holographic display showing the true extent of human space and influence. They're seeing it for the first time, Bennett commented. The observation posts, the protected species, the quantum network, everything we've been hiding for centuries. Vatak's expression was particularly striking, a mixture of professional assessment and personal revelation as he realized the true scope of human military presence in the galaxy. Signal from Earth Command, Maxwell announced. The Senate has approved the full disclosure package. We're authorized to begin technological exchange. Restricted items only. Thompson nodded. Then let's show them why humanity chose the path of hidden guardians rather than open conquerors. It's time they understood that true power lies not in domination, but in the wisdom to know when not to use it. The doors to the conference room opened. The future of galactic politics was about to change forever, guided by a species that had learned the greatest military lesson of all. The best victories are the ones achieved without firing a shot. As Thompson moved to greet the Imperial delegation, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, witnessing the moment when fear began its transformation into understanding. Admiral Jessica Thompson stood on the observation deck of Earth's primary orbital station, watching as the combined fleet conducted its first joint exercise. Human vessels, their true forms now unveiled, moved in perfect synchronization with their Imperial counterparts, teaching through example rather than intimidation. The Imperial crews are adapting well, Commander Bennett observed, reviewing the performance metrics. Their learning curve is impressive once they stop trying to prove themselves and start actually listening. Below them, Earth gleamed like a jewel, its surface showing none of the scars from humanity's own difficult path to enlightenment. Cities powered by quantum reactors dotted the continents, their energy signatures now proudly visible to anyone who cared to look. Latest reports from the diplomatic corps, Lieutenant Maxwell announced, approaching with a data tablet. 17 more developing civilizations have requested human protection under the new Guardian protocols. The Empire's former client states are particularly eager to sign up. Thompson accepted the tablet, scanning the requests. And the Empire's response. They're actively supporting the applications, Maxwell replied, unable to hide her surprise. Admiral Vatak himself is leading the initiative. He's been quoted saying, "The galaxy needs guardians who understand the responsibility of power." The exercise continued below them, human ships demonstrating maneuvers that seemed to defy physics, while Imperial vessels attempted to adapt their tactics to this new understanding of space warfare. Every few minutes, a human crew would power down their advanced systems and show how to accomplish similar results with Imperial technology. Dr. Anderson's educational program is showing excellent results, Bennett noted. The Imperial Science Academy has completely restructured their research priorities. They're finally asking the right questions instead of just trying to copy our technology. Thompson smiled as she watched an Imperial cruiser successfully execute a modified version of the Thompson maneuver, using their own technology in ways they had never considered before. Message from the Hellfire, Maxwell announced. Captain Wilson reports their joint patrol of the Outer Territories encountered 3 previously unknown civilizations. 2 are pre-spaceflight. 1 is just developing FTL theory. The Imperial science team immediately recommended non-interference protocols without any human prompting. They're learning, Thompson nodded approvingly. How are they handling the revelation about their own history? Bennett brought up the relevant files. The knowledge that humanity had been secretly preventing other species from interfering with their development during their own pre-FTL period was humbling. Their historians are rewriting centuries of what they thought was independent achievement. Below them, the exercise entered its final phase. Human and Imperial ships moved in complex formations, each learning from the other. The Empire's rigid military doctrine was gradually being replaced by something more flexible, more thoughtful. Update from the Cultural Exchange Program, Maxwell added. Imperial entertainment channels are flooded with human historical dramas. Their people are fascinated by how we chose to hide our advancement, how we developed our Guardian philosophy. The term hidden protectors has entered their popular culture. Thompson turned as the station's quantum sensors detected new arrivals. A group of ships from one of the younger spacefaring races was approaching, their designs showing a fascinating blend of Imperial influence and their own cultural aesthetic. The next generation, Bennett observed. Born into a galaxy where advancement doesn't have to mean conquest, where stronger civilizations protect rather than dominate. And the Imperial response to their arrival? Thompson asked. Maxwell checked her readings. 2 Imperial defensive platforms just powered down automatically as the vessels approached. Their crews sent a welcome message and offered navigational assistance. No scanning, no intimidation, no power display. Thompson nodded in satisfaction. The galaxy was changing, evolving into something better than the endless cycle of conquest and submission that had dominated it for so long. Humanity had hidden its power not out of fear or weakness, but out of the wisdom that true strength lay in knowing when to reveal it. Begin shutdown of the remaining cloaked observation posts, she ordered. It's time to fully step into the light. The age of hidden guardians is over. The era of open cooperation has begun. As the exercise concluded below them, human and Imperial ships exchanged formal salutes before going their separate ways. The stars seemed to shine brighter, witnessing the moment when the galaxy's oldest empire learned that their greatest defeat had led to their most important victory. The understanding that power without wisdom was no power at all. The future stretched out before them, filled not with the thunder of warfare, but with the quiet satisfaction of civilizations growing together under the watchful, visible protection of those who had learned to be strong enough to be gentle.